Welcome to the Reality Trifecta podcast. I am your host, and today we are recapping Survivor 49 episode 11. The episode starts off with everybody coming back to camp after tribal council. Sage gets emotional because her number one ally gets voted out, and she has beef with Sophie Segretti over it, and she's like, the way he got voted out, it's like you wore that as a badge of honor. You smiled as he left. So Sage took a lot of offense to it, calling the move the most stupidest move on Sophie Segretti's end. The next day, there is a new journey opportunity, with Steven going on the journey despite being at the bottom, and nobody else wanted him to go. Why didn't anybody fight for this position? Why did they not try? Why are you complaining that he's going if you didn't try? Why? So Steven is on his journey, and this had to be one of the most difficult journey tasks in Survivor, where he has to go to a post, and each post will give him a number and a map of the island to tell him where to go next. Each post gives him a new number, and he's walking, he's tripping, he's slipping, he's falling all over the place, and he just kept on moving. Stopping was never an option, and I could see him struggling. Like, his skin was dark red. He was out of breath. And so he was memorizing all the numbers. He had to do all this before the tide was about to go up. But he ended up doing it. He got the job done. Of course, when you succeed in a challenge on a journey, you get to have an advantage. Steven's advantage was a block a vote. He could only play it before tribal council to clarify who he's going to use the block on, which changes everything. He goes back to camp, he tells them the truth, that he did win an advantage, but he decided not to tell them what the advantage was. And Rizzo, the only one who has an idol, he begins to get paranoid. He gets paranoid, and that is exactly what Steven wanted out of him. And Rizzo guesses that it's a steal a vote, but it's not. It's a block a vote, which is even more powerful than you can think. And speaking of advantages, you have Sophie Bolardi, who still has her knowledge is power advantage. And she is considering whether or not when is the right time to go against her own allies. She might as well use that knowledge is power advantage on Rizzo and take his idol. That's all she has to do. The real question is when. And you have Sage. She really wants Sophie Segretti to get eliminated. Obviously, she has that grudge against her. Then you have the immunity challenge, where it's really focus-driven. A rope is attached to your waist. Not a rope, but a chain. It's like connected to a spinner. Depending on how slow you go, the slower the spinner goes. But they have to put blocks with letters on them, and they have to spell immunity. Jeff didn't have to explain this challenge. Instead, Steven did his best Jeff Probst impression, which I thought was very funny. It was spot on. He was close. And speaking of Steven, he wins this immunity challenge, which was a very clutch immunity win, and he needed it. After the challenge, Steven's given the decision to take 2 people to a reward with him, and that was Rizzo and Christina. They have spaghetti, which reminds me of Operation Italy from Survivor 47, one of the greatest moves in the new era in history. Survivor 47 is one of the most underrated seasons of Survivor, and I love it. It's the new era's magnum opus. That's what it is. And you have that. I don't think that there's ever going to be a move that'll measure up to Operation Italy. But who knows? Unfortunately, it didn't happen on that episode. But what can you do? There wasn't really that much strategizing at the reward for those 3 people. Meanwhile, back at camp, it turns out that Sage and the others want to get out Sophie Segretti, which is a smart move because she has proven herself to be a challenge beast. And Sage said in her confessional that if you mess with her, you end up leaving. That's what it's been throughout this game so far. And Sophie Segretti, despite working with Savannah, she wants to get rid of Savannah. Savannah has been playing this game where, now, I think she's under the radar. She's on the down low. And she's been less threatening as of recently. So there's that. She's been at the bottom. Now she's somewhat at the top. I don't think that she's really that worried. I think she has a lot of agency. So now that Steven has won immunity, it changes the game a lot because it did seem like he was most likely to be the next one voted out in this episode. Then we go into Tribal Council. You have Christina laughing up a storm based on how she feels about Savannah. She says it's a strong dislike between them two because they came from opposite lines, being Hina versus Zuli. You kind of forgot that this feud existed until Christina mentioned it. Then the vote happened. After the votes were read, the person voted out was Sophie Segretti. And Sage has gotten her revenge for Jawan. And Jawan was communicating to Sage, you did it. You got her. And Jawan's like, get her out. Do it. Beast mode. And that happened. I gotta say, with Sophie Segretti throughout this season, that in the first half of the game, she was purple edited. You barely got to see her because Hina just kept on winning everything. And I don't think that she had ever been to a tribal council during the pre-merge portion of the game. So that was something. And then she became existent in the show when she started winning immunity challenges. That worked out for a bit on her end. And she decided to align herself with the other Yuli members, with Savannah and Rizzo. and Sophie Bolardi, but now that had been short-lived. Honestly, I don't think she really had true allies throughout the game. At least when she got the edit that she deserved, you can tell that she was at least trying. So, let's talk about the contestants. Rizzo, not a single vote was casted against him in this episode, and he still has the idol. He's got a lot of good going for him in this game, and I'm impressed. Then you got Sophie Bolardi, who has the knowledge is power advantage. I'm just curious to know how she's going to use it. I can't wait to see it. Then you have Christina. I don't think she really is contributing much to the game. Like, you have emotional moments with her, and there's nothing about her gameplay that's like screaming winner of Survivor 49. She's a nice person, but will she win the game? We shall see. Then you got Sage, in my opinion, was, I think, the highlight of the episode. So far, she's been a highlight machine throughout the entire season. I feel like throughout the edit, we've seen her do more, especially in the first half of the game. Her beef with Shannon was iconic. She's really standing out positively well. And I thought it was between her and Steven in this episode who were going to get voted out. But she turned out not being the one voted out. And that's impressive. She's been playing a very interesting game lately. I applaud that. I already shared my opinion of how Savannah's game is going. Then you have Steven. Well, he's playing a clutch game. I don't think he really has true allies left in the game except for Christina, but they're out of the majority based on what I can see. But his block of vote advantage should be interesting. And he said that the time in which he's going to play it is going to be a pivotal moment in the game. And it's now Final 6, so he's going to, if he plays it, it's going to be an odd number of votes. And it's no longer even. I can't wait to see where it goes. Can I talk about everyone? Yep, that's everyone. I thank you all so much for listening to this podcast. And I will like for you guys to hit that subscribe button to listen to more podcasts like this one. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.